So let's talk about movie 2 of the week that came out this week, which is Skyscraper, which Dwayne Johnson stars in, which is a big pull in why I went to go see this. And I try to see almost every movie in the theaters regardless, just because I like to see everything. But this one I thought would be, because The Rock is in it, I think that it gave it more, I feel like any movie I watch Dwayne Johnson in, I think that he always, no matter what, is usually entertaining and really likable, and I think that that's one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to see this movie more. Because this movie, from the trailers and the movie itself, is not an exact clone of Die Hard, but it is really trying to be Die Hard. But it has differences to it. It's not the literal exact same thing, but this movie definitely suffers from you knowing that this is trying to be very similar to one of, in my opinion, one of the best action movies ever made. So, going into this, I thought, even if it's a Die Hard ripoff, I really enjoy Dwayne Johnson, so I thought he might be a good thing about this movie. And honestly, yeah, I think that the Dwayne Johnson really actually carries this movie, and I think that he does a good job of, like, in all of his movies, he does a great job of being really likable and just really genuine. I think that he always is just this one of those actors where I can watch him in anything and, like, either feel for him or laugh at his jokes. Like, I feel like he's a great actor who, like, and he's kind of an underrated actor because he doesn't do anything, like, super dramatic, but he does give off a lot of, like, great comedic timing and he's a really fine actor. It's just not, he's not, like, one that does a lot of super serious things. He's just one of those quote-unquote comedic action stars. And like I said, that's one of the biggest reasons why this movie interested me more, is because he was in it. And like I said, he's great in it. And I think that the story itself is, and it's hard to say because I haven't seen Die Hard in a couple of years. I haven't watched it again in a couple of years, so I really don't, like, I remember things about Die Hard, and in this movie they reminded me of it a little bit, but I'm not the person in this moment right now to say that this is a complete Die Hard ripoff, because the thing I remember about Die Hard, seeing it a couple times, is that connected to this movie, like, similarities, like, it's in a giant tower and he's trying to break in, Dwayne Johnson is trying to break in, and I think that's how Die Hard went, but I really don't, and I feel bad for saying that because I do love Die Hard, I just haven't seen it in a long time. But the similarities to it, I can see little bits, remember tiny little bits throughout. There's one thing I noticed in this movie that's definitely not as good as Die Hard, of course, is the villain. Like, the villain is kind of virtually, like, it's not like a Hans Gruber, or like Hans Gruber, Alan Rickman, like, he gave off such an incredible, like, unlikable performance in that movie, and just by the way he played him, like, Alan Rickman is great at playing such a slimy character, and in this movie the villain is just, it's nothing more than typical, like, bad guy villain. Like, there's literally nothing I remember about, and I just saw this movie, I don't remember the villains at all, really. I just think that it's not memorable in that fact, and I feel like the movie itself as a whole is not really memorable at all. It's just a fun action fluff of a time, and I think that to me was fine because I thought the pacing was fine. I enjoyed it all the way through. I didn't feel bored at all. I was interested throughout. Like, even though this is a movie where you know everything's gonna go the way you expect it to, but I felt like, because of Dwayne Johnson giving a likable performance like he usually does, and the action was pretty good, it's just, you know what's gonna happen in this movie, like, you just expect that, and because the trailer sucked, and, like, it showed literally almost every scene except for the one final, like, action thing, but they showed every other action thing before the ending, which was, I hate when trailers do that, and I couldn't avoid it because of all the movies I see, I can't avoid that trailer. And or I can't avoid trailers. So it sucks whenever studios do that. I really don't like that. I think that's so stupid. But one positive though, I really am glad to see Neve Campbell again. I haven't seen her in a while. Like in terms of a movie, the last movie I've seen her in that was released, I think, was Scream 4 in 2011. And I know she's been on stuff like House of Cards and all that, but like I haven't seen House of Cards, and I really liked seeing her. I mean, she's just I really think she's a great actress, and I think she's really beautiful, and she has a great personality to her in all of her movies that I've seen her in. And I think that it just was great seeing her again. I really enjoy her a lot, and I think that she was fine in this movie. Like, her character is more, like, I like the fact that she, like, it's weird to say nowadays, like, I like that she wasn't a damsel, but I know movies are trying to not do that anyways, but I liked how she, like, immediately was smart and knew what to do whenever she and her kids were trapped in these situations. So I thought that was good, and I thought that she was fine and fun like usual, and I think that she was a good addition to it, and I like seeing her on the big screen again. That's really cool. But the performances are fine. It's nothing of note like that's spectacular. It's just pretty much a Die Hard ripoff from moments that I've noticed throughout the movie, but I don't think it's going to be a complete ripoff of it. And like I said, I haven't seen Die Hard in a couple of years, and I don't remember it well enough, since it's been a while since I've seen it, to fully say that this is a complete ripoff. I feel like it does rip off things about it, and I love the fact that online, I guess it's just a fake mock-up poster of the Die Hard poster, you know, the one of Bruce Willis, and then the tower's right there, like, and he's like on the picture, and then there's one mock-up poster of The Rock doing the same thing for the burning tower, the Pearl, in this movie. I thought that was funny that they made a poster just like it, so that makes it seem worse that it's a Die Hard ripoff in ways. So, but like I said, I don't remember Die Hard well enough, and I've seen it a lot of times. I just haven't seen it in years, so it's like I can't fully feel like I can say this ripped it off, this ripped it off, this ripped it off, except for a couple little instances I noticed. And I won't really spoil them because they are kind of spoilers. But this movie, like I said, follows a path that you know where it's going to end. You know how it's going to end. You know what's going to happen. And I feel like, without even saying anything, I feel like this is one of those movies where you typically know, oh, this is the way it's just going to go. And it did that. It went like a normal action movie plot, like these kind of movies do. And to me, it's just, at the end of the day, I think Skyscraper was just perfectly passable. Like, it wasn't anything fantastic, it wasn't anything terrible, it's just kind of cliched, but I thought that the pacing was fine, the characters were fine, like, they aren't amazingly written, but they were fine, and the acting was really good. So overall, it's just a very passable action movie in the summer, but I enjoyed my time with it. So even though it's pretty cliche, but it has good things and bad things about it, I thought it was still a really fun time with the movies.